Hello and welcome to Project Tus. This is not meant to be a YouTube channel or anything in particular. It's just a documentation of doing this, my Tuscan 2001 TVR Tuscan, so that I can remember what I've done mostly, and also so that maybe other people can find it useful, whatever I've done in the future. It's quite a leggy Tuscan. It's about 100,000 miles, just over now. It's had about 12 previous owners, so it's done its fair share of abuse, I suppose, and usage. I'm very happy to have it because I want to colour change it. I want to do the interior. As we can see here, the interior is not in bad shape. It's not in great shape though either, has to be said. We'll come round to the driver's side in a minute and you'll see. It has been repainted. It used to be a kind of a, I think it's something fire, something red, and it is now stealth grey from the previous owner. It's a bit stone chipped up. So some of the indicator bits are going yellow. There's a few bits where you can see a little bit of red showing through in certain areas. But generally, very reliable Tuscan, certainly. I've had it a couple of services now. Nothing major has been an issue. But as you can see, this driver's seat is in kind of desperate need of a retrim, bolster especially, and the bolster there is disconnected. Welds come free, so that needs a bit of work. But still, it's been really reliable, great to use. I've really enjoyed driving it. I've driven it lots of different places at different times, so no worries. Here, I'm just diving in to look at take the two bonnets off, because that's the first thing to do. Because I want to take the body off this Tuscan. This is where we're going with this whole thing. So this is just the two little kind of push bits, and then the little stay to keep the small service bonnet open. Then I can actually hand turn, believe it or not, some of these nuts off just on the side. So I went quickly. You can see they've been taken off there now, and also taken off the other side. This is to get the main bonnet free, and then down there I've got to get those nuts off. Another one the other side, and then the main bonnet should lift off once I've done that. So here you can see that unfortunately there's a little kind of thing that you'll see the other side that's sheared off on this side on mine. There's a little kind of hole there where it should be. That kind of keeps the main bonnet down. Fortunately you don't need it. Now you've got all the other stuff, but I'll show you once I get this one loose. You have to push it in. You can see my pushing it in with my finger just there, and then that releases it. There's a special tool for this, which I do have, but I actually find it easier to do with the finger. But you can see here, that particular thing is what holds it down, and that's what's sheared off the other side in the bodywork. I'll sort that out at the bodywork stage, not now. So here comes the main bonnet, lifting it off the Tuscan. It's not that heavy, it's a little bit awkward because it is a big old unit. I do slightly touch the door here, but still, as I'm going to do a lot of repainting anyway, I'm not too worried as long as I keep it in good shape. So that takes the main bonnet off, and then you can see down here to get the service bonnet off, there's just two kind of screws into the hinges, one either side, and that's what I'm going to take off now. I mess about with a load of tools here, trying to get in. It's a really awkward kind of angle, so you can't get the ratchet going or anything like that. And then eventually, I do remember, after about trying three different things, that I have a nice electronic ratchet that really easily will get these out. And here it is. This was before I painted the garage floor. So the garage floor is currently really dusty in here. You can see it in that corner of the picture. It's kind of a bare concrete floor, but we'll get to that in a minute. Once I've got these off, so these two come off, and then the service bonnet just lifts away. So at this point I realise just how little hair I have on the top of my head. Off it goes. Goodbye, service bonnet. This is just showing the fact that I took them away up in the roof of the garage because they are massive. They'd be in the way anywhere else, so I've just managed to tuck them into the roof space, which is really, really useful. I'm bagging everything up as well. I've numbered everything in order so that I know the order of which I took the parts off. So hopefully I can go in basically reverse order to put them back on, give or take. So today I'm going to make a start. I'm getting this body off. Bonnet was taken off, as you might have already seen. Now we need to take this kind of front grille off out of the way, take the radiator off and the fans, hoses, etc. And then need to think about this power steering tank, whether it will clear, which it doesn't look like it will obviously, but whether it can just be moved out of the way, which it probably can because these hoses are quite long. Go into the back and then we'll work our way backwards down the car. Last thing that needs to come out is the fuel tank at the back, out of the boot, because there are 2 bolts behind it. Various bolts under the chassis, couple in the transmission tunnel here that need to come off. Pedal box needs to come out. Seats need to come out. So quite a few things to do before we can think about lifting the body with the lift. But we shall see. So for now, let's make a start on this. One short one and one really long one. So I've got to remember that the long one is on the passenger side. Hopefully there won't be a rush of coolant when this comes on. Got a couple of different fittings. Is off. Sadly, the bit that had cracked was very cracked, it seems, as it's come off. So we need to do a bit of whatever you do to put these kind of things back on. A bit of fiberglass welding, maybe, or fiberglassing. Don't know. But we'll find out. We'll keep both those pieces. Noises. Ooh, was tight. Get rid of that later. Fan. Oh. Okay. We have movement on the bottom. Ah, we have more screws. Give you a little preview. So this one's come fine. Bit rusty, these two quite rusty, but they've come off okay. There's one there. That was fine, but then there's one here. So I'll give that a go now. Yeah, it looks like the might need to actually just come out as a whole. opposed to taking the shrouds off, and I thought there might be some bolts underneath, but maybe this is all that holds it in. It's these two supports here. Just leave those in place, and then I'll have a look at that later. It's going to be one of those projects that's going to need everything, give or take. That one came off absolutely fine. Yep, but if you just look, not at the end of the ratchet spanner, but down there, when you try and twist this loose, it's bloody hard to see next to my hand, but what happens is you move that. This is very hard to see, but you see that bush at the bottom? Kind of see it there, twisting in the bush. Nice. Now I knew this bolt here, which was rounded, which should take a 10 like these, but wasn't. But I've managed to hammer a 9 on, just using the normal hammer after a bit of wire brushing, a bit more leverage so that I didn't put too much twist. It's actually come loose, because I knew once the radiator was off the car I'd never have this much leverage again with everything bolted into the car. So, and at some point these covers need to come off if I want to refurb them or whatever. I also noticed that I've got cable ties here, where a lot of other people, well, normal Tuscans I think have bolts in each of these. Seen another video with a guy called I think another Rob like me, that snapped his off, because I'm not surprised, they're at the front, they're just going to rust and get knackered, so I can imagine that's why cable ties are in mine. Anyway, it's very rare I get a little success like this, so there you go. I have no idea how to drain the coolant on this. Normal upward radiator, well, you just drain it from the bottom, wouldn't you? So I've attempted to drain it from the bottom, just undo this clamp. You might be able to see, that seems to have come to an end for now. God, camera works much harder than you think as well. There you go. So obviously if I tip it forwards then loads more will come out, but it seems to be just coming down by the splitter in a nice way, dropping into me bucket. So my only thing now is that obviously this has come off, that's okay, that's liftable. This one this side, as I said before, it's just turning in the bush. So I've got a loose washer, but that just turns in the bush. So I need to somehow loosen this off, so some wire brushing might be required. So I've taken the radiator off now. This bush, turns out it's very easy. It just moves in its place, so I could maneuver it around the washer because the actual bracket is pretty large. So you could just sneak it out of there. So I guess that's what people have been doing for quite a while with that particular bush, considering it is built into the body in some way. So anyway, so I disconnected this hose, as you saw, a little bit of coolant came out, but not too much. So then disconnected this one, obviously the air, then allowed it to all drain out. I've been forever cleaning up coolant since, but it slid out absolutely fine, and then just leaning it against the wall there for now. And then you can see a couple of body bolts holding the body onto the chassis, one there, one that's behind this particular thing. You can see there's a bit of coolant that's managed to get into the body. I'm gonna have to get rid of that, but that's only like a couple of millimeters. It looks like a river, but it isn't. Obviously, if I undo this bad boy, a lot of coolant would fly out of this hose. But for now, that's the radiator off. Do those two bolts,
next, and then start to work backwards.